All right, welcome to NFL Week 4, even though I think this is Week 5 for us, of Ronde and Tiki, presented by Superbook Sports. Why are you showing off your Hall of Fame ring? You think I'm impressed by that or something?
No, I'm just taking a sip of coffee, man. It's early in the morning.
Even,
filming it. Hold on
they jacked it up. It doesn't even fit correctly. It's loose.
I need one more sip. I need one more sip. Hold on.
Yeah, you got about 3 more days of adulation, and then it's over. Now we really don't give a crap.
Did I get any coffee in my beard? I can't tell.
How was the ceremony?
It was great, other than having to watch a very bad football game. Although I'll give a lot of credit to the Eagles. They are unbelievable up front, and it shows. There's the 2 Georgia D linemen are problems for the rest of the NFL. Because to be honest with you, I don't really feel like, other than DeAndre Swift, that this Eagles offense is clicking like it was last year yet. I mean, we still know they have the talent. We still know what Jalen Hurts is. But dude, they are a tough out, man. There's a reason they're one of the 3 undefeated teams left in the NFL, man. They are a well put together team, and they annoyingly travel very well. It felt like right.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. Well, that's what I was going to ask. I mean, you get honored at halftime. What was the reception?
No booze, man. No booze.
Well,
although I did troll them
pretty well. You got to respect the Hall of Fame.
I did troll them pretty. Right, I did troll them pretty well. I said I appreciate all you Eagles fans coming down to celebrate my Hall of Fame ring. I don't know. I don't even know if they know what I said, but
no, they probably didn't. They were half in the bag. You know, Philadelphia. Right. They travel with their alcohol as well. But you mentioned the Eagles being 3-0. There are 3 undefeated teams left in the NFL. The Eagles are 1, obviously. I mean, they were the representative for the NFC in the Super Bowl last year, so that's not unexpected. Despite losing both of their coordinators, it's surprising. They had some on and off patches, but they've been good. But the other 2 teams, the Miami Dolphins and the San Francisco 49ers, make it really interesting to compare the 3-0 teams. So as I think of it, there's a couple of things. One, it's coaching, right? Obviously, you have top coaches. They connect with their players. They have like the message is clear. The relationship with the organization, it just makes sense. It feels right, even though that's doesn't really it's not definable, but it feels right, if that makes sense. But the other thing, dude, is speed. Right. Yeah. When I think about these DeAndre Swift, you got, with the Eagles and AJ Brown and Devontae Smith, it's just speed at the skill positions. You go to the Dolphins, it's a freaking track meet. Like, all those dudes are faster than one of them. And I think Raheem Mostert might be the fastest one. I think he ran like a 10-1 in college or high school in the 100. And then the same thing can be said about the 49ers, C-Mac and Debo and Brandon Ayuk. Like, speed seems to be retaking over the league, dude.
I don't think there's any question of speed on offense. And it helps when you have all 3 of those teams you talked about have mastermind offensive coordinators as head coaches. So their influence over the entire team is about how do we maximize our talent on offense. That being said, all 3 of those teams have pretty damn good defenses, man.
Yeah.
What John Lynch has done in San Francisco, building his front, I mean, who cares who plays on the back end of their defense? It just doesn't matter. They rush the quarterback. That's it.
Yeah.
What do the Eagles do? The Philadelphia Eagles do. They rush the quarterback and stop the run. I mean, the Bucs tried, I think, 11 times to run last night and had 20 yards. Like, it's a non-starter for that team. And in Miami, you don't hear about them because they put up 70 points on offense. You don't hear about their defense. Their defense is one of the bright spots of this team this year. It's the reason why they're 3-0. Also the reason why they're 3-0. Of course, Tua is having an MVP type start to his season, but the reality is they're all 3 are complete teams. It's hard to find weaknesses on any part of level of all 3 phases of either one of those teams. And there's a reason why they are what they are. If you ask me right now, if I was ranking who's going to be in the Super Bowl right now, it's Miami and San Francisco.
Yeah, it feels that way because Miami, I can't say they came out of nowhere because we knew Mike McDaniel is a good coach. He's got a good mind. He's quirky on purpose, right? He tries to be that way with the media, and he tries to be that way with his team, and it's organic. It's who he is, I think. But when I watch them play, and I watch them play because I have the Denver Broncos this weekend against the Chicago Bears, a team of defeated squads, 0-3 versus 0-3.
Lucky you.
Yeah, I know, exactly. But I kind of just got enamored watching Miami's offense, because there's nothing, they run the same plays like over and over and over and over and over again, and they out leverage you with short motion, and all of a sudden you're reacting as a linebacker or say a nickel position, and before you know it, you're out leveraged because your eyes got taken away, not by like a long motion, but like just a quick short right before the snap motion. And so the attention to detail is what's most compelling. But I feel like because I was watching more for the Denver Broncos, like what happened? Like how did they get gashed for big play after big play for big play? And it seemed like that short motion, or I don't know, say you call cover 2 and you think there's nobody coming to your side, so you cheat just a little bit to make up for that speed, and all of a sudden somebody's coming away from you, and is wide open because they got into space faster than you thought. I think that the biggest thing that I look at when I see Miami is a team that runs their routes faster than most DBs are used to accepting those routes. You know what I mean? Like, they're on you. They're on you before you know what to do. How you can respond to it.
What they do is they distract you. All that is just an exercise in mass distraction. No matter what your rules tell you to do, when you see somebody moving out of the corner of your eye or moving into a space, or you're like, where is he going now? And so you don't question what your job is, but now all of a sudden you have to change on the move. So if I'm covering it, if I'm outside corner and that receiver motion's down, all of a sudden he tightens his split or reduces his split. Now all of a sudden you're saying, okay, now my responsibilities change. Now I got to find a new number one. There's a reason why so many guys when they play Miami, why guys are running so wide open. Guys get confused with all that short external motion, because they not only do short motion in, they do short motion out to expand the formation and then run the football. Like Mostert, had that one long run last week, and it was short motion out. And all of a sudden it spread out the defense, the linebackers had to kick out, and bam. So, I mean, it's a combination of both. It's the reinvention of the run game. And I think trends will tell you that that's coming into play more. The days of the static line up, put your hand in the dirt, we're running power O offenses are gone, dude. It's just quarterbacks are much more adept at being able to run these type of schemes. And with the athletes that are on the field these days, I mean, you have to be multiple like that. And that's what these guys have mastered so far this year.
Yeah, no, I remember that's what I used to always do. All right, strong right, Y, circle, whatever, you go back, but strong 36 power, right? Just go get 3 yards. Maybe you cut it back and split one. It feels antiquated. But the question, I think is it replicable, right? Is it possible to put that much speed on multiple teams? You know what I mean? Because running a fast 40, 4.5 40, 4.4 40, it's interesting. But this Miami team has different speed. It just feels different. Like there's lots of fast guys in the NFL. Yeah. But collectively, it feels different. I don't think that's replicable. I think they have a perfect storm going on.
Right, they do. I don't think you find two receivers, two running backs now that have that kind of.
A-Chain is a blazer too.
The team that does is Atlanta. Atlanta has a bunch of bodies like that where they could do multiple things with a bunch of their players, but you have to have commitment from the head coach to be that. It's hard. So it's a copycat league. It's the oldest cliche ever. But the reality is, if you're looking at Miami's offense and you're trying to replicate it, unless you know the details and the why, not just, I see how they're doing it, but why are they doing that, then you can't repeat it. and obviously McDaniels has the why down pat. He's been thinking about it for years prior to himself getting the chance to be a head coach, and now he's putting it into action. And he has a perfect quarterback who's playing pretty perfectly right now, even though a lot of people want to say it's not about him. The reality is about him. He's delivering some great plays and allowing his supporting cast, let's put it that way, to shine. Now they're plus 800 to win it all, Tiki.
I don't know if I'm ready to do it, but if I was going to do it now. Because they play
a month from now. It won't be this.
No, well, the big test is this weekend because they're going to Buffalo, and it's a division game. The Buffalo Bills, despite their loss in Week 1 to the New York Jets, are a sound defense. Josh Allen, when he's smart with the football and not trying to risk things, throwing balls downfield just as jump balls, they are so efficient. So if they win this weekend, that is a humongous bet. You actually might want to do it now.
Right.
Because they have the horses to outscore Buffalo.
Right.
It's just a matter of, can they stop also Buffalo? They haven't really faced a team yet that is on their level, if that makes sense. I mean, the Chargers, we know where they were. They were kind of fugazi early in the season, despite a big win against Minnesota this past weekend. New England subpar.
Such a Jersey term, dude. What does it mean?
It means like not real. It's like you just throw it up there. It looks flashy. Oh man, you got that gold chain. That's amazing. Those diamonds. Nah, it's plated and it's cubic zirconia. Right? That's fugazi.
Well, the Bills are 2.5 favorite at home. So I mean, odds makers seem to know that Miami hasn't quite seen their real test yet. But it's early in the year. I tell you what, man. South Florida team, and you got a Northeastern team on your schedule, your everyday or every year schedule. They're like, thank God we're playing this game in freaking.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. But you know what? That's lucky for Miami.
That's what I mean. Like when we used to play Green Bay when I was back in the day, and every single year. Oh, Green Bay. Oh, yeah. We're playing them in December. Yep.
Well, that sucks.
That's awesome.
Yeah. One of many to keep an eye on this weekend. But why bet with the big boys this football season? Instead, try your hand with the local book, Superbook Sports, this fall. Superbook Sports is the book next door, just a dedicated team of the best odds makers in Las Vegas, making sure you get the best prices and parlays anywhere. And now Superbook will give you a bonus of up to $250 when you sign up and wager on the same day when you use promo code Ronde, the Hall of Famer. Or Tiki. No, it's just Ronde, not the Hall of Famer, just Ronde or Tiki. Would you get that out of my grill? So, the best, bet with the best and use promo code Ronde or Tiki this football season with Superbook Sports. Visit superbooksports.com. Visit superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
All right, welcome back to Ronde and Tiki, presented by Superbook. Tiki, are you like Joe Namath in Sick? Seen enough of Zach
Wilson? I'm confused.
I gotta put it out there. Man.
I got confused, Ronde, by the Jets quarterback situation. Now, we all know that they should have.
Wait a minute. First of all, is your boy your broadcast mate? Is he like really not interested?
He is Ryan's really not coming out. Because you know what happens? We show up in town. I show up on Thursday night. They show up in town Friday morning. We go do our production meetings with the home team. Go to practice and then do production meetings with the home team. And then we go out and we have a time. And Matt Ryan is that dude. He hangs, dude. And we ask him, we're like, dude, are you leaving us in like a week or so? And he's like, man, I love this. So here's the story. His agent.
I got enough money. I'm good.
Yes, exactly. And by the way, he flies Air Ryan. Like
I know.
Wherever he wants to go to. But so here's what happened. These are the stories that were being reported. Glaze reported this, our boy. that the Matt Ryan camp reached out to the Jets, but it was really Matt's agent doing diligence. That's what agents do, right? When there's an opportunity, he's not retired. If the situation is right, maybe he would come back. His agent reached out. Then his agent reached out to Matt, and Matt said, "No, I'm good, man. I like doing what I'm doing." And so the story got convoluted. And he clarified that today, but
right.
I love working with Matt. We have a 3-man booth, which is unique, as you know, because we did it a couple times. But he's fun as hell, and he's a great teammate, and he's fun to hang out with. But to answer your question, go ahead.
For reasons that will not be explored on this show, Matt Ryan can't retire yet. However, since we're talking about quarterbacks, rookie quarterbacks, CJ Stroud just got his first win. He actually looks like the part. I want to take a quick exploration down the rookie quarterbacks right now, because the Indianapolis Colts just won with Gardner Minshew, beating the Baltimore Ravens. Bryce Young and the entire Carolina organization looks
lost.
And CJ Stroud had the longest passing streaks without throwing an interception of any quarterback in NFL history. 120 pass attempts without throwing an interception, or something like that. Warren Moon was the one prior. So of the rookie quarterbacks, which one are you most excited about his future based on the first month of the season?
So, I mean, I always had reservations about Bryce simply because of his size. It's not saying he can't be successful down in Carolina, but his size always worried me, because I covered him in Alabama multiple times. And in Alabama, just like any high school or college, you can just stand, right? You can just stand in the pocket and go over here. Let me look over here. Let me look over here. There it is. And you finally get the throw off. Or you take 2 steps and the guy's wide open because of you schemed him wide open, and it's an easy throw for you. So I worried about his transition because he's going to take hits because he sits and stands in the pocket. Anthony Richardson, I just don't think played enough in college at the University of Florida. Can he turn into a really good developed quarterback? Sure. He's got the size, he's got the arm strength, the arm talent, the cliche that everybody likes to throw out there. He can run, and he's physical in this new, nouveau offense that we like to see in the NFL. But the one who played the highest level football in college was CJ Stroud. And so when I saw him come in and get drafted by Houston, I was worried simply because of how bad the roster was in Houston. And so when you play, as you know, when you play on a bad team, it's just doesn't matter how good you are. There's not enough around you to make it work, right? And so what I like about CJ Stroud is that he has this calmness about how he plays. Like he doesn't feel overwhelmed as things are kind of chaotic around him. And I think a lot of that is his head coach and D'Amico Ryans, who has that same demeanor, right? He's not frenetic. He's not like yelly, screamy, urgent. He's just kind of chill. And he was the perfect hire for this team that needed a rebuild, but also was going to do it with a lot of young players. And so I think he found him. I always say this: when you get drafted as a quarterback, where you go matters, right? And who is going to Pat Mahomes, the fact that he was under Andy Reid and and Eric Bieniemy, like he had that perfect setting to grow into the player that he ultimately became. I think CJ Stroud is that same way. Now, I don't know Bobby Slowick at all, who is his offensive coordinator. But I do know that he was with the 49ers and kind of anybody who comes from that system, Mike McDaniel and, Matt LaFleur, they all kind of run the same type of things and have the same type of philosophies in developing quarterbacks. So you can just look at the OC's pedigree and know that he was in the right spot to get developed correctly.
Right. So he's got the most yards of any of these guys by a mile. Of course, the 2 other guys haven't played in 2 weeks. And so 906 yards off of 78 completions. And the guy has that unflappable, tough mentality about him. I think there's the biggest upside to me is on CJ Stroud. Now he took a bunch of sacks the first 2 weeks of the season.
Yeah, because the game is so fast.
Yeah, the game is just so much faster. It took him a long time. But you talk about the talent around him. Ironically, he's got some decent players. Tank Bell, who came out of nowhere, third round draft pick. I don't even know who he is.
Yeah.
Is been explosive. You got Robert Woods on this roster. Nico Collins has been pretty impressive so far this year. So it feels like they didn't have a cast around them, but in reality, they do. They have like the perfect cast around them. And with the coach that he's now working with, man, I'll be interested to see what his rookie of the year odds are. I mean, I think right now it's probably Bijan Robinson, who's saying everybody's saying is the best rookie on offense this year. But at some point, if CJ Stroud keeps putting together these type of games, continues to grow, he'll be the top of the list. I think.
Well, I think what's most important to that, Ronde, is whether or not he wins, right? I think the win Jacksonville was supposed to be this up and coming team. Like this last year was we're here. This year we're supposed to be, we're going to take the next step. And if you looked at this game before the season, hell, even after the first 2 weeks of the season, there's no way, not a chance in hell you're saying the Jacksonville Jaguars are going to lose to the Houston Texans. Yeah, because of everything that you just said that happened. I mean, he dropped back 47 times in that game. And usually when you put a young quarterback in that position to throw the ball almost 50 times in a game, bad things are going to happen. Well, they didn't because of all those things you just laid out, Ronde. So, he completed, I forget what the completion percentage was. It was, something like 62% or something like that. But that doesn't really matter. It was how the plays were made. And he didn't make any mistakes. There was no interceptions. He did get sacked a lot, but you ask a kid to take it on his shoulders and he handles it that way, you got to feel good about him. So early returns on the rookie quarterbacks, it's CJ Stroud clearly number one. Honestly, I'd put Anthony Richardson number two, save him being out with the concussion. And then Bryce Young in Carolina is pulling up the rear for the rookie starters right now.
20-30 for 280 yards and 2 touchdowns for CJ Stroud in that win against Jacksonville. And ironically, of course, it was Jacksonville that Houston beat. But if there's one division I do not trust, it is the AFC South.
No, they're bad everywhere. The Tennessee Titans looked inept against who'd they play? Cleveland. And now Cleveland's defenses might be fantastic, but they look bad. So the AFC South is a crapshoot this year, to say the least.
So too is the NFC South, for that matter. Derek Carr is hurt. Atlanta just got dumped by Detroit. Bucks just got dumped by Philly, and who am I missing?
Carolina. Carolina's
0-3. Speaking of Carolina, new head coaches, Tiki. I was looking this up earlier. So going into the week 3, they were 1-9. The 5 head coaches. They won 3 of the 2. They went 3-2 this year. This past week. Steichen, Ryans in Houston, Gannon in Arizona. Are combined 4-5, and our 2 veterans, Sean and Frank Reich, are 0-6. And I know you got this game, so but Denver at Chicago, somebody's got to win, dude. In Chicago is our road dogs. Is this the game where Denver finally gets a victory? And more importantly, I don't know if you can answer.
They're home dogs. They're home dogs.
Sorry, home dogs. And more importantly, is this Sean Payton, Russell Wilson packed sound at all?
This is an example of why you don't go hating on people, because Sean Payton basically said that Nate Hackett did the worst coaching job in the history of the NFL last year. Right. But what he's learning is that they do not have a ton of talent. they have some interesting players on their team, but they're bereft of talent. And so Russell Wilson, who didn't play horrible last week, in that
he's actually played good in 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's not like he's the problem, but he's also not going to be able to score 50 points in a game. It's just not his game, right? He doesn't have that explosiveness. Their offense doesn't have that explosiveness. Their defense is not the same top 5/10 defense that they've been over the last half a decade. Right. And so when things get away from them, they really get away from them. And so I think Sean is finding that this is more of a rebuild than he thought it was going to be. And it's easy to, take the low-hanging fruit and say, oh, Russell Wilson stinks. It's not. He actually doesn't. He's playing pretty well. He misses some throws here and there. And, he got harassed 2 weeks ago against the Commanders when they gave up an 18-point lead and lost that game. But a lot of that was on the offensive line. I mean, 7 sacks and 13 QB hits against the Commanders. It's really hard to survive that. Right. And then Sam Howell on the other side was just balling. And so they've lost 3 games. The first 2 were 1-possession games. I think they actually 1-point and 2-point losses, those first 2. And then they got matched up against speed, and they didn't have the answer for speed on defense, despite actually playing okay and having some big plays themselves on offense. And so I think Sean is he's finding his way and realizing that in a place where the culture isn't his, right? He was in New Orleans forever, 15 years, I think it was. When the culture isn't his, it's really hard to control the ups and downs. And there are going to be a lot of those throughout the season. In Carolina, to me, it's just that's a talent issue down there. There's just not a lot for Frank Reich to deal with. And it's interesting because when we looked at this at the beginning of the season, our preseason show, we said, yeah, I think Sean will be okay. I think Frank Reich will be okay. Let's worry about the first-time rookie head coaches, right? The Steichens and the Gannons and the D'Amico Ryans said, no, those guys are going to struggle. It's actually the other way around. Right. And again, I think a lot of it's simply because the old heads, they expect their culture to transfer with them, but that's easier said than done.
Yeah, it's something you have to build. And in Denver, I mean, I'm just looking at the stats right now. 458 yards per game allowed on defense, dead last.
Yeah.
177 rushing yards a game, dead last. And they give up.
Part of that is skewed. It's only 3 weeks, and part of that is skewed because they gave up 700 yards last week.
Hey, you can't take it away just because
it's true.
You gave up 10 touchdowns in a game.
Yeah, 10 scrimmage touchdowns, Ronde. Not like a defense, not like an interception, not like a pick six, not like a punt return.
No, that's nearly impossible. It's nearly impossible.
I mean, you don't have enough possessions. Like, seriously, you only get like 12 in a game. And so
is it even that many? I don't think it's that many. I think 12 is, on a college game, you get 12 possessions. You don't get 12 possessions.
No, you're right. No, you're right.
I don't see an upside for Denver. I mean, there was reports that they have some strife between Sean Payton and the quarterback, whether or not he's imminently going to get benched. I don't think that's going to happen. I think that's a bunch of hyperbole and people just talking.
I think Sean still likes to win. I don't think he's going to bench Russell Wilson.
Right. He's not going to bench Russell Wilson. But this team, you talk about them not having talent. They have talent. I know Justin Simmons is hurt. But
they have names, Ronde. It's names.
Right.
So it's different. It's different names versus the talent that's actually on the field.
Right. Well, look up front on defense, man. Zach Allen came over from Arizona. He was a great player last year in Arizona. He hasn't done anything. Randy Gregory hasn't really done anything.
Yeah.
Patrick Surtain doesn't look like the best cornerback in football, which I anointed him as in our preseason show. Kareem Jackson seems older. Like he's just not. Nothing's working for Vance Joseph on defense, and it's easy to put the scapegoat on one guy, one coordinator. So in this case, but for whatever reason, their new scheme is not taking root. And if you can't keep your team in games when you're getting blown out, and again, this is Miami, who's shown the ability to do this to everybody so far this year.
Yeah.
We'll get a chance to see that's for real when they play Buffalo. But for a team that came in with such high expectations on defense, I knew there were questions on offense with Denver, but to have the type of letdowns on defense so far this year is, to me, is the most troubling thing, and that's not totally on Sean Payton.
Well,
Van
I mean,
Joseph was head coach in the NFL at one point, and he's been a coordinator for the last 10 years, last decade, and it's been pretty well received in a lot of places. But this is like embarrassing now.
Yeah, but Ronde, here's the thing. I know you talk about Alex, Singleton and Jonathan Harris, and all these Zach Allen. None of these guys have been here for 2 to 3 years, right? No. There's a bunch of new pieces and new like names that are stuck together. That's why I said that. They're names that are put together. And so in theory, they should be good, but in actuality, it's harder than I think we want to, give credit to get a bunch of disparate people together and have them play team defense. Offensively, they have some skill position guys. A kid, rookie Marvin Mims, he's got some talent. Obviously, Cortland Sutton's a good guy, a good player as well. Like the talent is there offensively. I like Jerry Jeudy, et cetera. Javonte Williams is a good running back. So it's all there. It's just making all the pieces fit together. That's the hard thing. All right, we're going to come back and make some picks, Ronde, but we are changing the game. Help your bets stay hot this fall at Superbook Sports, the most trusted name in sports gambling with a direct line to Las Vegas. And now when you use promo code Ronde or Tiki, you score up to $250 with their first bet bonus. Win or lose, Superbook will match your first bet up to $250 with promo code Ronde or Tiki. Download the Superbook Sports app in Arizona, Colorado, Iowa, Nevada, Ohio, Tennessee, New Jersey, or Maryland. Then enter the promo code Ronde or Tiki, and you'll get $250 courtesy of Superbook Sports. Visit superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, here's the pick segment for this week on Ronde and Tiki, presented by Superbook Sports. There's a lot of good games, Ronde. Detroit, Green Bay, Atlanta, Jacksonville, Cleveland hosting the Baltimore Ravens. Dude, Cleveland might have the best defense in football by Myles Garrett's estimation. Did you see them following him around? Like he's flopping back and forth. They're like motioning. It's unbelievable.
It was hilarity in the respect factor. You're like,
yes.
They respect him enough to like, nope.
We're gonna flop two players to block you.
Right, and then had to take a timeout. Or did it get delay a game? I can't remember what happened on that.
It didn't matter. You knew that he was going to wreak havoc on him, and by the way, he did. And the team were playing.
Right, I know sacks are included in passing yards, but right now, through 3 games, the Cleveland Browns have given up 335 passing yards.
Yeah,
111 passing yards per game. That is ridiculous. And they're actually, I think,
490 something total yards, or whatever it is. 480 something total yards.
Hold on, I think they might have the number 1 rush. No, they're number 2 rush defense behind Philly, of course.
Yeah, of course. People can't run the ball against Philly,
right?
But there's some good games. But because of the team they played last week, I watched a little bit of that game. The Tennessee Titans. I'm going to the Cincinnati Bengals as road favorites against the Tennessee Titans. They are laying at 2.5 as we record this show, Ronde. The Tennessee Titans looked inept offensively.
Right. Well, inept. So, I mean, I know Cincinnati won last Monday night, but they don't look that much better. I mean, obviously Joe Burrow is a little they got caution tape all over Joe Burrow right now. They do not.
I was surprised he played.
True.
Right? Because so I did the game the week before, and he hurt his quad or hurt his calf, and he was doing that, like, I don't know, that thing that
Theragun.
He was doing the Theragun in his calf for like 10 minutes, and I'm like, dude, after like 3 minutes, it's probably not tight. It's likely pulled. But also, I was shocked that he played on Monday night, and he actually was okay. Like, he can't move that much, but he was okay. But this is more an indictment on the Titans offensively. Their offense looks like it was from when I was playing. It's line up, run the ball downhill, try some play action, throw short routes over the middle of the field. That's it. That is not going to work in today's NFL. And the Cincinnati Bengals, I think, take advantage of that. So give me Cincy laying 2.5 on the road against the Tennessee Titans.
I got some good ones because the New England Patriots Dallas game is fascinating to me. Dallas -7. Obviously, they're home favorites against New England, who looks like they can't do anything on offense as well. But what Arizona did to the Dallas Cowboys last week was troubling because I think everybody, including us, were saying that the Cowboys were one of the 1 or 2 or 3 best teams in football. Last week, we were saying that. And Arizona has first-year head coach, first-year offensive coordinator, first-year defensive coordinator, and they dominated them. The game wasn't about Dallas playing bad. They rushed for 177 yards against the Dallas Cowboys, which that might be their weakness. That might be Dallas's Achilles heel, being able to run the ball against them because they have great pass rushers.
The first drive of the season, the Giants did that against the Cowboys. They ran the ball right down the field. They got a field goal blocked that was returned for a touchdown. Then they got a tip pass that was also returned for a touchdown off of Saquon Barkley. And so the Giants were playing behind and they started passing. They had no chance, right? But
the thing playing right to their hands, right? Because they got pass rushers. They got Micah Parsons. Like, you don't play that game. You're going to lose that game. So Dallas -7 at home. It's interesting because I'm not sure I trust Dallas anymore. But the game that I want to talk about is the one. It's your guy, man. It's Detroit at Green Bay. To me, this is an interesting home dog. Detroit's won 2 games. Their quarterback is
Jared Goff.
Winning. Yeah, no, not Jared Goff. Jordan Love is winning despite not being great.
Yeah.
Right? He completed like 7 passes in the fourth quarter and completed a 18-point, unanswered run of scores. Like, is Green Bay good, or are they just lucky? And is Detroit really good, or are they just haven't played good teams yet? So this is +1, -1.5 Detroit or on the road, and this is a game that I'm interested in watching. But at 1.5, got to go to Green Bay. I know it's the early game. It's Thursday, so it's a short week. It's not expecting to be a big points game. It's 40. What is the over/under? 45.5. I want to watch it, but I don't know how to bet it. This would be one of the ones that I would have a hard time looking at. But it's the one everybody's going to look at because it's the first game of the week, first game of the weekend. But Detroit 1.5 at Green Bay. I don't know if I'm taking it. I think Green Bay finds a way to stymie them. Now, Detroit did a great job last week against Atlanta, team that was rushing for 160 yards a game, 70 yards a game coming in, and completely shut them down last week. So that your boy does a good job getting his guys fired up, and this is obviously a division game on the road. We'll see more of that Dan Campbell charm come out this week, I'm sure.
Now, Dan Campbell, the Detroit Lions gave up 183 total yards against the Atlanta Falcons. 183 total yards last weekend in a 20-6 win against the Falcons. So he gets them right, and they rebounded off that overtime loss to Seattle, which was a little bit ugly at the end. But I trust Dan Campbell. I'm biased, obviously, because he was my teammate, but that dude is old school motivator, man. Serious old school motivator.
I'll take him out the floor.
We'll stand differently then. All right, that does it for week 5. I guess NFL season week 4.
Yes.
Week 4, but it's our 5th edition of Ronde and Tiki presented by Superbook Sports. We'll see you next week.
The Ronde and Tiki podcast is produced by Superbook Sports. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER in Colorado, Maryland, Nevada, New Jersey, Ohio, and Tennessee. In Iowa, call 1-800-BETS-OFF or visit 800betsoff.org. In Arizona, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT STEP to 53342.